This is your Mining Disrupt news surge for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. As you can already tell, I'm doing something quite a bit different this time. I'm doing this way, spending a little bit more time, because of one major reason. I have a bone deep feeling, given a lot of things. I'm going to go over some of them, that we are about to witness something really historic for Bitcoin. I want to remind you before I get into what I think is going to happen that this is not where you come for financial advice. This is where you come for entertainment and education, a little bit of fun, a little bit of games, a little bit of information in there. But if you want to know what to do with your money, that's really ultimately up to you. If you want to talk to a financial professional, then you can do that. Usually, I record one of these, then I go into the editing room and I chop it all up and I get you about a 10-minute, 8-ish minute, 10-minute thing. This time I'm doing it live. I'm not editing at all. So there's going to be some hiccups, there's going to be some mistakes, but that is the nature of doing things a little bit new, a little bit different. Let's go over the numbers real quick here. We are looking at a price of $115,000, just shy of $116,000. The priority and anytime fees are as low as they can be without being free. One sat. I mean, it's basically free at this point. We have over 120,000 unconfirmed transactions. Things are happening. Things are moving. The mempool is looking real good. We have over 1,000 exahash. We are in the Zeta hash zone right now. I wonder when time chain calendar guy will change this. And I'm going to talk about time chain calendar and something major. I've used this platform, this app for, goodness, before the last halving. So 2 years now? Yeah, a while. We've got 23,000 nodes online right now. Things are looking really, really good. Now, remember, scan this QR code right there, right about there. Think right in front of that hat to get your tickets to the Mining Disrupt Expo, the second one this year, happening in Dallas, Texas. It's about a 5-10 minute Uber ride, the Irving Convention Center right there in Dallas, Texas. 5-10 minute ride from the airport, the major Dallas-Fort Worth airport. It's going to be a big one. More and more speakers are getting lined up. More and more sponsors keep on piling in. This is going... It looks like, I don't remember where things were 2 months out-ish. We're just shy of 2 months out from this expo. I don't remember how things were looking before the Fort Lauderdale one, but I'm pretty sure that we're already on track to do a bigger show than we did in Dallas. I'm sorry, in Fort Worth. Dallas, good. I'm all, see, mistakes. They happen. Fort Lauderdale. I think that this is going to be a bigger one. And part of the reason for that is what is happening in Bitcoin. There's a lot happening. Let's go over this right here. This has been the news. The news. So I'm going to switch over so we can hear what Saylor has to say on this thing right here. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to mute my mic so that you can listen to what Saylor has to say here.
And so I think protocol proposals, however well-intentioned, can go horribly wrong. And I think that the late debate, that this debate we see right now over op return limits, this is actually a second order or maybe even a third order change. It's not changing, it's not changing the amount of Bitcoin, which of course is an atomic zero order change. It's not changing the block size, which is a first order change. It's, it's somewhere in the second and a half to third order. But the reaction of the community, which is, to reject it, an inflammatory reaction, I thought was a healthy response. It's healthy to be skeptical of a third order change to the protocol, right? Because it might become a second order change, and and if it's a first order change, it puts everything at risk. And the biggest danger is a very talented, well-funded, well-intentioned developer trying to do something good. That's the danger, right? And that is fundamentally the issue, which is a very competent, well-funded, well-intentioned developer that wants to upgrade the protocol. That is the risk. The risk is, I've said this tongue-in-cheek before in my long business career, I don't regret my bad ideas because no one's stupid enough to pursue their bad ideas. I regret all of the good ideas that I pursued to the detriment of my great idea. Like, it's the good ideas that actually dilute the product, dilute the brand, dilute the network, and destroy the company. The good ideas will destroy the company. The good idea for Bitcoin will destroy Bitcoin. If I wanted to destroy Bitcoin, I would just fund infinite developers who are very talented and tell them to make it better.
I want to say what he said there. There's a lot there. And I think that some people might get a little bit hung up on the first order, the second order, the third order changes. So let me try and spell that out for you in a completely different way. Let's say that you're in a relationship. Let's say you're either married or you're dating somebody. A first order change, like that base layer ground, this is the heart of the issue, would be we don't want to live together anymore. Let's say you're married. We'll go with that one. I don't want to be married to you anymore. Maybe we don't share the same bed. That would be right there. But that base layer one, the most fundamental thing, like he's talked about raising the limit of 21 million coins, would be something like, I want a divorce. Okay, that is a major seismic. It doesn't get more major than that. If your husband, your wife, your spouse, the person that you thought you were on the same page with, you are in love with this person, you've been with this person for years and years and years, they come home one day and out of the blue they say, I want a divorce. Your world would absolutely crumble. You would have no what is happening right now? You suddenly you're in the upside down. So that's a first order change. That's ground zero. So then what's a layer 2 change? Well, I think that would be something like, hey, I think we should keep our money in separate bank accounts. You've got your job and I've got my job, and we've had a joint account for a while now, but I kind of think that we should do our own thing. It wouldn't be quite the level of I don't want to be with you anymore, but it would call into question a lot of things. Wait a minute, why? Why this hasn't been working? Well, I would just like to do my own thing with money, and I want you to do your own thing. But where's this coming from? There's got to be a reason. What is your thought process behind that? It would call into other things in question, and underneath that would be do you want to be with me anymore? What's happening here? So this isn't either of those things, what's happening with Bitcoin, the core and knots debate. It's a third order change, the whole idea op return. What does that have to do? What would the third order change be? Well, to me, that would be something like the kind of car that you want to get. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Someone goes, oh, I'd like to get a Toyota. And the other person says, well, I really want a Ford. And you're like, a Ford? Why do you want a Ford? Well, I've got family that lives in the Detroit area, and I just think a Ford would be kind of cool to have. Okay, that's not a good reason to want a car. We got to think about the repair cost and the longevity of it, and is it a what's the track record? Are these good cars? I honestly don't know these days how a brand new Ford compares to a Toyota, but my mind says that Toyotas are the better move. They have been for years and years, and I kind of still think that they are. For the bang, how much bang you're going to get for your buck. So it doesn't call into the whole question of whether you want to be with this person anymore, but it definitely calls into some things about your value proposition. It's like, well, why aren't we on the same page about this? How come you value getting a car that's the company? I don't even know how many cars are even made in Detroit, if anything, these days. I think some are, but it's not the motor plant of the world the way that it was back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's not that anymore. I lived outside of Detroit for a little while, and I'll tell you, it is a shell of its former glory. So the whole question about what car are you going to get with your spouse would call into question those other things. And this is why the proponents of Bitcoin being a money first and foremost and nothing else are going, whoa, hold on. We don't like this change, because it's not a ground zero change, no, but it's close enough that it makes us go, don't know about that. We need to have some conversations here. And that is what the Knots people have been saying. Is like, look, can we just have an open, honest talk about this? Why are you wanting to do this? What is going on here? And this is Dell's opinion, my personal opinion. This is not to be confused with anybody else's. This is my personal opinion, is that a lot of individuals, not all of them, but many of the individuals on the core side have not been acting in the... They haven't been acting all that well. Let's just say it that way. There's been a lot of misrepresentation. There's been a lot of things that have been coming from the core side of the argument that makes me go, huh. I don't feel as though I don't feel good about Bitcoin having any kind of being swayed in any way by these individuals. It just gives me kind of a heebie-jeebie kind of, I don't like it. It's just an uncomfortable feeling. And that's the same kind of thing that's happening or would be happening with the person that says, oh, I really want a Ford. And let's just say, for example, I'm not meaning to bash on Ford here, but let's just say that Ford had a terrible track record. Maybe there'd been some recalls. These aren't great cars. And Toyota's complete opposite. Great cars, no, just wonderful track record. Shining 4 stars across the board. Great cars. It'd make you go, well, why are you so set on a Ford? That's the problem here, is that the things that are being called into question are things that you really want to go, let's just put the brakes on this. Let's have a chat here for a second. Okay, we need to talk about something else here. This is British HODL. And I think that this is really important and something that people... Well, we'll talk about it here. He says, I want everyone with at least one Bitcoin, and I'm going to say, really, honestly, anything over $1,000. Anything that you can't afford to lose, which for you might be a Bitcoin. For somebody else, it might be $500. With at least one Bitcoin to invest 30 days in the final quarter of this year, thinking about how you're going to protect that Bitcoin legally, physically, and spiritually. They're going to come for it. Plan accordingly. Now, I don't know who he means by they are going to come for it. They could be the government. They could be $5 wrench attackers. They could be not savory family members. They find out that you have a lot of Bitcoin or even $800 worth, and they go, well, I need $800 right now, so let me have it. People get weird around money. Money does weird things to people. And you might just think of that as, well, they want that money. No, you got to stop thinking of money as paper, as this number in your bank account. And you need to start thinking about it as time and energy. When you start looking at money through the lens of time and energy, everything starts to make a whole lot more sense. This person has a lot of time and energy. This person does not. The person that does not would like some more time and energy. Who wouldn't want more time and energy? That seems pretty obvious to me. If somebody said, hey, I can double your time. What do you mean you can double my time? I mean that you just all of time is now doubled for you. You get to live twice as long. Your days are twice as long. Everything. You just get double the time. And you have double the energy. Would you like that? Yes. That's the only answer to that. Unless your life is so miserable and that you're living in an ongoing hell, then no, maybe you wouldn't want more time to exist in that. But if you had so much more energy, maybe you'd think, well, maybe I can escape this hell. I don't know many people. I don't personally know anyone that would say, no, I don't want more time and energy. So if you start thinking of money through the lens of it being time and energy, it makes a lot of sense to first and foremost figure out what Bitcoin is, and then secondly, treat it as time and energy and protect it legally, physically, and spiritually. So you need to be spending some time figuring out, how do you store your Bitcoin? Do you have that written down on paper? It's got some downsides. Do you have it stamped into metal? Okay, where is that stored? Is it clear? Is it in a way that somebody that has even a tangential idea of what Bitcoin is could see that and go, oh, I'm going to steal that? If you have your seed phrase written down somewhere, is it hidden? Is it hidden in a place that you won't remember? That's a risk. You need to be really thinking about these things. Do you have a multi-sig setup? If you do, where do you have the multiple signatures? Where do you have that memorized? Do you have it written into wood? Is it sealed in a brick somewhere? Do you have it buried under a specific stone? Do you have it shared between people that you know? If let's say it's a 2 of 3 setup, who has the keys? Do you have one, I would assume, and then who has the other 2? Are they people you trust? It should be. These are things that you need to think about. Those are that's the physically side of things. Legally, what are you going to do with your money? What jurisdiction are you in? How does your state, your city, your country treat Bitcoin? Do they see it differently from gold? Do they see it differently from a stock? Like how do they treat that? What are you going to do if you need to sell some? How does that work for you? If you need to sell some, what are your capital gains going to be? Do you want to be living in this particular place when you need to sell some? When do you think you're going to need to sell some? Do you have a date on the horizon that you're saying, I'm probably going to need to sell some at this time because I know that there's different things happening. I'm going to be retiring. What does all that mean for you? These are things that you really need to be spending some time thinking about. I don't know that you need to spend a full 30 days, but I'd say sit down and have some deep conversations over the course of at least a week thinking about this stuff. And then spiritually, that ties me back to how I started this with the time and energy. Think about money as time and energy. Think about how much that means to you. Maybe it doesn't mean all that much to you. Maybe time and energy is irrelevant to you. That would be weird to learn. But I think for most people, time and energy is a really big, important thing. Something that Josh Mandel here is touching on is something that I realized when it comes to prices set at the margin. I might get this a little bit wrong, but here he is saying, just before COVID-19 hit, you could go to your local grocer and get all the toilet paper you want. Bitcoin is the toilet paper of the financial crisis. Do you recall what that was like? Maybe you didn't. I don't know that I ever experienced it firsthand, but I saw signs were out of toilet paper, one pack per customer. I was getting my toilet paper from Costco, and they did a pretty good job of limiting how much you could get. And I was actually, I didn't even have a Costco membership at the time. That has since changed, but I would get it through a coworker. He would go to the business center, and I would say, hey, could you give me a pack? And I think there was maybe one time where he wasn't able to, but I still had plenty left over. And then the next time he went, he was able to get to some. So I couldn't get a whole storeroom full, but I never needed a storeroom. A Costco Kirkland Signature pack of toilet paper lasts me, I don't know, 3-4 months. It's a lot of toilet paper. $20 for months and months of toilet paper. But there were plenty of people, I'd see pictures of it. You'd hear about it. It was on the news. Oh, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper. And there were probably people, I don't know about this firsthand or even secondhand, but I wouldn't be surprised if some people were going to a place like Costco, busting open those packs because it's like, I don't know, six packs in there or something, and then selling those packs on the side for an increased markup. When people talk about the price being set at the margin, when the supply goes away, and I'm going to talk about that supply thing here in a second, what comes onto the market changes the price drastically. This little bit that's actually moving can change the price, does change the price of all this other stuff that is just sitting there. This other stuff doesn't have to sit and move. Think about this in terms of Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards. It's really easy for me to talk about either of those things because I play trading card games, Magic the Gathering primarily. And most of the Black Lotuses that are in the world are not being sold. They're not moving hands on a daily basis. They're just not. People aren't throwing around tens of thousands of dollars. So what changes the price? How do people know what the price of a beta one is if a beta Black Lotus hasn't sold, but then an alpha one sells? What about the unlimited or the revised ones? How do you know the price of an Underground Sea from alpha, beta, unlimited, revised? These are all different versions. There's 4 different versions of that one card. And one of those is tens of thousands of dollars. The alpha version, the very, very first version that came out. The beta version is, I don't remember, but let's just call it half. And then the revised and unlimited ones are even much, much lower. So you can get, I always forget which is which. I think it's the unlimited version for the least amount, and I'm guessing it's around $800 to $1,000 right now, and the alpha version is like $15,000. But alpha ones aren't being sold and traded on any real scale. It's the unlimited and revised ones that do the most movement because they're a small fraction of the price. Well, those ones can determine the price of the cheap ones can have and do have an impact on the really expensive ones, because people go, well, if this is moving for about this much, move, and this one we know is about 10 times worth as much, well, then this one will move in conjunction, even though these aren't selling. The same thing is true of Bitcoin. You could have and do have millions and millions of coins that are just sitting in cold storage. But then there's some amount moving on the daily from this exchange, from that person to this person. And people go, okay, well, if the price on the daily movement over here is such, then that means that that is what a Bitcoin is worth. So on that supply side of things, people that are like, oh, why is the price only $115,000 or 116, whatever it is right now, 100, let's call it 116, just shy of. Why isn't it moving up? You have to remember how much Bitcoin is coming on into the market every day right now. Hundreds of new Bitcoin are being mined every single day. I forget exactly how much I think it's 450 right now. Is that right? 400, 3.125, whatever. I'm not going to do the math right here. I think it's 450. 450 Bitcoin coming onto the market every single day. And that is being absorbed at the current price every single day. There's so much money right now that is locked up in so many different places and it can't move. But once things start, once the cracks hit the dam and money can flow from the traditional places, and you see this demand with MSTR, you see it's out there. It is moving into Bitcoin. I pulled this up because it's funny. And I'll just play it. And I'll explain why I'm playing it here in a second. Ready?
Fried tip. 8 full-size beef and chicken kebabs. EB back ribs.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
You just set it and forget it.
You just set it and you forget about it.
You just set it and then forget it.
You just set it and forget it.
Set it and forget about it.
You set it and forget it.
Okay, the reason I played this is because this is what you do with Bitcoin. You set it and you forget it. I have with Cash App an amount of I was about to say Bitcoin, of dollars that come. I wish I was paid in Bitcoin, but in a way I am. That's kind of the point that I'm making here, is that I have it set up. I get paid in direct deposit. And a portion of that goes automatically into Cash App. And I can change how much of that amount going into Cash App automatically purchase Bitcoin. I can change that from week to week or every 2 weeks when I get paid. And as long as, I don't know what it is now, but when I first set it up, it was as long as $300 was going into Cash App, then the amount of Bitcoin that was purchased was done with zero fees, no fees, which is kind of amazing. So some weeks I go, I need to pay some bills. I've got, like, for example, I've got insurance due here soon for my car. And so I'm going to have to tweak that a little bit because I need the cash on hand to handle that. But if I don't have bills, if I don't have any pressing needs for the cash, then I just max amount that's going into Cash App automatically goes over to buy Bitcoin. It's a very set it and forget it kind of thing, which I like. And I suggest if you are interested in Bitcoin and you want to purchase it, finding some system like that works for you. I know Strike now offers feeless, no fee purchases on direct deposit. So it's a very similar type setup. Strike has a lot to like about what they're doing over there. And I do like a lot of what they're doing over there. There's certain things I'm not a huge fan of, like the whole lending, but I don't think it's bad that they're offering it. I just don't think it's for me. For some people, it's a great service and they love it. There was that guy that Jack Mallers talked about, and it got shared there a little bit online, that he was able to buy a home for he and his family, and his son now has a yard he can run around in. That seems worth it. I hope that individual has a good plan in place for how to handle that loan, because like I talked about, I believe it was last week, loans can get dicey, and the weight of debt over your head is an unpleasant feeling. The most I've ever been in debt was like $1,500, and it sucked. I cannot imagine what being in debt for $10,000, $100,000, $1 million feels like. When somebody buys a home and they take out a mortgage for it, and you're in debt for $1.5 million, and you just know that this is a thing that you have to pay off over, I don't know how many years, 30, 40, 50 years. That sounds unpleasant to me to have that hanging over your head. So I my personal take is no debt. Avoid it at all possible. Now, it's not to say that there aren't times and places for that. This is not financial advice. I'm sure there are, and there's a lot of ways that you can leverage it, and there's a lot of ways that you can use it. I understand that. I do. In a way. I don't understand it personally because I've never done something like that, but I understand how that could be the case. All right, we're getting off the path here. The thing I'm trying to talk about is that the beauty of having a system for Bitcoin is that you set it and you forget it and it purchases. Now, I said I was going to mention this later on, and here it is. Time Chain Calendar now has an app, and I've used it. It's pretty sweet. I do have a couple minor gripes that I'm not a huge fan of. One, I don't like when I tap it and open it up, it does this whole little animation thing. There's a noticeable pause between opening up the app and actually getting to the information that I want. I wish that when I opened it up, it was just boom, right here, like this. But I guess it has to load, which I understand. The other thing that I'm not sure about and I don't really like is that the widget wasn't working. I don't know if that's a paid feature. It didn't say that it was, so I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe it just needed time to update or something. Admittedly, I installed it basically the day that it showed up, so maybe there's just some stuff that it needs, some bugs needing to be worked out. I'm not sure. But there is an app for the Time Chain Calendar app, and there's so much information here. And once you know what all of these numbers mean here, this is a great resource for educating somebody. You can show them what this is and what all of these numbers mean. And oh, look, these are all blocks. Well, why are there spaces? I thought one came every 10 minutes if the person's versed enough to know that. Well, yes, it's an average of 10 minutes. And you can see, there's just so much information here. You can see what the average block time has been since the very first block, the Genesis block, which I think is like 9 minutes and 38 seconds or something currently. There's just a ton of information here. All right, let's move on to this right here. And this is Jack Mallers talking about something really important. It kind of goes into what I was just talking about with setting it and forgetting it, but let me play this so you can hear what he has to say.
Was given. I wasn't given the opportunities Larry Fink was given.
Okay, that's we need to pause right there. Most people do not have the opportunities that Larry Fink has. You don't have access to the people that he has access to. You don't have Jeff Bezos and the president's phone number and Jerome Powell's on speed dial, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does. You aren't showing up every day on MSNBC to talk to them about this and that, and they want your opinion because you are Larry Fink. You and I will almost certainly never have the opportunities available to us that Larry Fink has. If Larry Fink wants to go and buy, I don't know, a new mansion, a new Picasso, a new Monet, he can do that. But if you and I want access to those things, we have to pony up the millions of dollars to do it. Well, if Larry Fink wants some Bitcoin, he can buy as much as he wants, or through his means, or he can buy a small percentage of it. Same as you or I.
I'm telling you, Bitcoin is the only ticket available for sale to everybody to get out.
It doesn't matter where you're at in life. It doesn't matter if you make 10 cents a day. It doesn't matter if you make $1 million a day. Your access to Bitcoin is the same. It's not the amount that the 10 cent a day person and the amount that the $1 million a day person can get is vastly different. Admittedly, yes, of course. But the price is the same. You can get some amount of Bitcoin. I guess I should say, maybe you can. I cannot get a portion of beachfront property. People aren't selling 3 rocks. And then, okay, well, you buy another 3 rocks, and you buy another 3 rocks, and you buy half a tree, and you buy 4 leaves, and then you buy 6 inches of grass, and then eventually, one day, you've got a whole house on beachfront property. You can't do that. But you can with Bitcoin. You can buy 10 sats here, 100 sats there, 1 million sats over here. You can purchase in quantities that are equal to what you're able to afford at the time. It is the most equal playing field. It is the best form of money that humanity has ever had. And so when it comes to Larry Fink or you or the burger flipper or the lawnmower or the car guy, the mechanic, car guy, I was going to say car washer, and then my brain just kind of went, that's not really a job. And then I was thinking mechanic, but I was already half out with saying car. And so I said, just car guy. A car guy, whatever that means. It doesn't matter. The playing field is level for all of those people. All right, what do we got next here? Let's see. Yes. Now for some bullish news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I started this out by saying that I feel something in my bones. And the last time I felt this tingling in my bones, and this isn't because I'm some sort of savant. No. I am not some sort of guru. None of that. I'm a terminally online kind of borderline autistic individual. Borderline. I don't know. Maybe it's full on autism. I don't know. But I pay attention to a lot of different avenues. And there are so many things that have happened in the past year, but more specifically the last 6 months, that paint a particular picture. And that picture is change is a-coming. Big changes. And I don't know that we will see it in real time, aside from what I think Bitcoin's going to do. But I think in a year or two, we will look back and go, whoa, 2025 was a monumental year. Things really changed that year. That was the start of some major upheavals. Here's Arthur Hayes. He's saying, with Fed board member Mirren now confirmed, the MSM is preparing the world for the Fed's third mandate, which is essentially yield curve control, LFG. Yield curve control pointing to Bitcoin equals $1 million. Now, I believe that $1 million Bitcoin is just a matter of time. I don't know how much time. I don't think we're going to see it before the end of this year. Before the end of this decade, before 2030, I think is very possible. I really do. And I think that 2025 is the year that things start going wackadoo in terms of price. Here, this is, okay. The last part of this sentence that I'm about to read is extremely important. And I think that people forget this over and over. They think, well, I'm online and Michael Saylor posts things online, so we're the same, right? No. Saylor is in Washington, D.C. to reportedly help advance the strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. And you're wondering why he's tapping the ATM like a degenerate? For the 1,000th time. For the 1,000th time, Saylor has asymmetric information. You have what you know. You have access to whatever it is that you know, and I have access to whatever it is I know. And what we know is drastically different than what Saylor knows. He's sitting there. He's got, I don't know who all these people are. Well, the first one, the closest to him, looks like Michael Keaton. I don't think it is. This might be Batman, for all I know. This is Tom Lee, not Batman. And then here's two more individuals. Okay. These people are in DC to talk to other people about Bitcoin. They know things that you and I don't. Saylor is not doing the things that he's doing and going as hard into Bitcoin because he doesn't think it's a good idea. You don't buy 500,000 Bitcoin, more than. He's 600 and some odd thousand coins now. Billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. You don't have Metaplanet. You don't have all of these other companies doing this thing because they don't believe in Bitcoin, because they don't have information that you and I don't have. Now, there are some of these treasury companies that, well, their plan of action doesn't seem to be quite as tactful, strategic as strategy. But I've been paying attention to Saylor for a couple of years now. Well, about 3. And he has struck me as an extremely determined and resilient individual that knows exactly what he's doing. And I think when it comes to Bitcoin, he's worth paying attention to. And if there's only one thing that you take away from what Saylor is doing, it's that he continues to relentlessly get as much Bitcoin as he can possibly get his hands on. This one is from Rational Aussie. He says, the last time I felt this way about Bitcoin, the price went up 3x within months. That's exactly how I feel. This is the exact same thing. It was in the 40s area. I don't think it was about double. So I don't remember when he was talking about here. I don't know when he was talking about here. But I remember distinctly that Bitcoin was in the 40, 45 range area. And then it went flying up to the 70 range. So not quite double, but a 90% increase? Pretty good. I think we're on the cusp of something similar. We are facing geopolitical and macro Armageddon. The house of cards is beginning to crumble. If you're expecting a bear market, you are wrong. And then on the final, there's two more things here. They're right here. This is a real important one from this weird raptor bunny thing guy here, Bitquant. It says, we need to go back to this one here. Bitcoin isn't going below 100K, not in this cycle. Doesn't matter the news, the Fed, or inflation. This is back in August. Okay, so about a month or so ago. And he says right here, the best thing that you can do now is write down your emotions about Bitcoin over the past 3 weeks. Describe them in as much detail as possible. Later, record the final outcome of the market. Keep that note. You'll need it. That will be your personalized market guide, your own forecasting model. So this is interesting. A way to do this is to check out how you feel and then look how you felt about that and then go forward with that information. Okay. And we're going to end on this chart. Is this the last one? No, there's one more thing to go over. So I'm actually going to switch this around. I want to go over this one and then we'll go over that last one there. Okay. Let's see. Is this ready? Yes. All right. Here we go. This is the last thing I'm going to be talking about, the whole core knots thing this week. But here it is. This is from Knut Van Holm. He says, if you ever made a single sat from rare sats, NFTs, ordinals, inscriptions, stamps, runes, BRC20 tokens, or any other non-monetary crap on Bitcoin, your technical expertise is no longer of any value to Bitcoiners. You have, by your actions, shown that you are a bad actor, not worthy of any serious Bitcoiners' attention. You clearly don't understand the ethical principles the whole system is built around, and thus no real Bitcoiner cares about your opinion on anything. Have fun staying irrelevant, Snake. Bitcoin is money. If you want to draw on your dollar bills or whatever it is that you have, okay, you can do that, I guess, but you don't have to make me like it. So if you want to take your Bitcoin and go and spend it on things that I consider frivolous, that's fine. But don't force me to do what you want to do with it. Don't tell me that for Bitcoin to exist, that it has to be this other thing that you want to do. It doesn't. It just needs to be money. That's all it was ever supposed to be. And then this last one right here. When people say the top is in, no, it isn't. This one is from Julian Biddle, CFA. 2011, this massive spike here. 2012 spike. 2017 right there. And 21 right there. And we are not even close. This is the Bitcoin cycle top finder. Are we there? Is it there? No. No, we're not even close. We are not even close. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that this Bitcoin thing is going to do some real wacky stuff in the near-term future. I'm talking about inside of the next 12 months. I think we will look back at a date like this and go, wow. Bitcoin was so cheap. So cheap. That is what I feel. We will see what happens. I will see you here next week. I'll see you in Dallas, the Irving Convention Center, November 11th through the 13th. It's going to be a big one. We are going to be in the heart of Bitcoin mining in the United States, which is Texas. So this is going to be one not to miss. And like I said, I think Bitcoin is already revving up its engines, getting ready to do some real crazy Evel Knievel type stuff, just flying to the moon. So we'll see. Maybe my bones are old and inaccurate, but maybe they still tingle the way they used to. We will find out soon.